What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady.
Alright, this story was called Entitled Woman at Universal Studios, Japan. I'm a 25-year-old female working in Osaka, Japan. Naoko, a work friend, invited me over to Universal Studios, Japan. I agree because USJ has owls. Live, adorable, real owls at their Harry Potter adventures, which the US does not have. Naoko is nervous to go see them because she does not like big birds. I want to go, so I am asking her nicely to come with or wait for me to see them. While we are discussing this, someone taps on the shoulder. I turn around and see a well-dressed mother and her 11-year-old daughter. They look pretty normal. The mother, Karen, is wearing a Harry Potter shirt, carrying several bags, and looking lost. Her daughter is begging to go on a ride. Karen pulls out a map and says, "Hey, do you speak English? I cannot figure out where the ride is." I point in the general direction we came from. I tell her, "I do. We just came from that ride over there." Karen taps the map with a perfectly manicured talon. "But where specifically?" Naoko pops in, because she is the most helpful person in the world. That is not sarcastic. She is wonderful. "You have a pen?" she asks. She mimes, drawing on the map. "I always have pens on me," I tell her. "Here, if you want, she'll circle it for you." Karen looks like I threatened to carve out her child's eyes and feed it to Izanami for breakfast. She jerks the sacred map to her chest. She tells me, "Do not touch our map. Just take us there." Naoko, like the kid from The Sixth Sense, whispers dramatically, "We see owls." I can see how annoyed Karen is getting. I am thankful that Karen has made Naoko more interested in seeing the majestic sky cats. Anything, I think, is better than being around Karen. So I tell Karen that unfortunately the cares have left the building and they will not return this season due to budget cuts in the care account. I tell her, as politely as I can, we are going to see the owls. Just ask one of the workers. We found a couple of people who speak really good English. Naoko and I are off to see the wizard. Karen says loudly, "Just take us to the ride!" No, we have to go now. "My daughter is going to be really upset if we don't go to the ride before closing." Talk to an employee, ma'am. I'm not a tour guide. "But you're American." "So, I live here now." "So you should help me." "No thanks. Have a nice day." Karen then turns to her daughter and tells her that I am not going to show them where the ride is, so they won't be able to do it before Daddy finds them. This 11-year-old girl proceeds to fall onto the ground and start sobbing. "Don't you make a scene!" So this girl is throwing an absolutely silent fit, pounding the ground with her hands, all while not making any noise. Naoko and I decide we are going to leave. Karen is just standing there while we leave, telling her daughter we ruined the day, instead of, asking the super bilingual employees. It was so weird. Now that is a funny bit of imagery. Imagine an 11-year-old girl having a silent tantrum on the ground while the mother is freaking out at her. Ah, man, these international tourist Karens are a special kind of stupid. This story was called I don't think I want a tattoo anymore. So I wanted a tattoo for a while now, but I always end up chickening out. So I went with my friend so I don't chicken out. Here's the cast. Entitled Mother. Nice guy. Poor kid. Me. Lils. Staff. An ex-boyfriend manager. And police. Here's some background. I'm a single mother of two. One is 5 and the other was just born 3 days before when this happened. So I was grumpy, tired, and just wanted to get the tattoo and go to sleep. This is probably important to remember. Lil's boyfriend took care of my kids while this was happening. Lil's looks pretty strong, but she isn't, and I look weak, but I'm actually pretty strong. Also, Lil's is about 6'8", and I'm 4'3". Now to the story. So I went to the public tattoo place with my friend. When we went in, we only saw 3 people. Nice guy, poor kid, and entitled mom. So we tried to sit down, but before we could, entitled mom puts her bags on the only 2 seats left. I thought she didn't notice us, so I asked her to move them, but nope. Here's the conversation. "Can you move the bags, please?" "Don't worry. I'll move them when the customers come in." I was confused, but I knew where this was going from watching Reddit videos. But we are customers. The entitled mom looked around in one of her bags and brought out some food. "Here, sweetie, want a sandwich?" "Mom, can you move your bags? The tall people want to sit down." "Sweetie, they are employees, but if they just want to stand there, I think they'll get fired." Lils began moving the bags herself because she just wants to sit and wait. How dare you! I'm telling your manager! She walks off into the staff-only room with the poor kid. The nice guy, nearly laughing his head off, "Well, some people, am I right?" Me and Lil say, "Yeah." I really feel sorry for the kid though. 3 minutes later, the staff came back. "I'm sorry to inform you that the manager will be here to open the doors to the tattoo area, but he's talking to a crazy lady complaining while her kid looks like she's nearly about to cry." Great. Lils rolls her eyes. Okay. Now, I'm feeling nervous not only because of the entitled mom or the tattoo, but because the manager was one of my ex-boyfriends. Ex-boyfriend manager, poor kid, and entitled mom walk in. "Who is being disrespectful and assaulted the poor lady's kid?" The entitled mom pointed at my friend since she looks strong. "She assaulted my child, now she has bruises on her legs. And you could see where she punched her on the head." Then she points at me. "And she threw my bags on the floor and called me a baseball pitcher." Ex-boyfriend manager, looking at me and Lils trying to hold in his laughter. "Did the tall one pick up your child and give her bruises?" "Oh yes, I nearly forgot about that." Now, ex-boyfriend manager definitely knows this is BS. "Well, unless Lils has been going to the gym every day and is drunk, then this is worse than when you said that my brother kicked your child and ran off." His brother being disabled and having mental problems. The entitled mom is now red with anger. "I command you to fire them." "Well, you're fired, entitled mom." "But I don't work here." "Exactly, they don't work here either." By this point, nice guy, me, and Lils are all standing up, nearly laughing our butts off. The entitled mom then pushes me onto the ground where I hit my head on the wall and faint. The rest I knew from nice guy, ex-boyfriend manager, and Lils who informed me the rest. Poor kid says, "Mommy, stop!" Now, she's crying her eyes out and runs up to me and Lils and hides behind Lils and checks if I'm okay. "Come here, you little brat!" She tries to push Lils to get to poor kid. "Not so fast." He gets pushed, but he's still standing. "You're not hurting anyone else." At this point, the police arrive. Ex-boyfriend manager called the police when he heard one of his employees assaulted someone. "What's going on here?" "This crazy lady pushed me, and she fainted, and I think this lady might be abusing her child." Apparently, the police took her away, and my friend, nice guy, ex-boyfriend manager, were all taken into questioning and I was taken to the hospital. I wasn't in questioning because they had enough proof, so she got fined, jail time, and her child is in foster care. Lils and her boyfriend is looking after poor kid as foster parent since they felt sorry for her. I was in a hospital for a week and I am still taking therapy for what happened, among other things. I never got my tattoo, and I don't know if I should. Alright, now, personally, I don't find this story all too believable. I'm not gonna feed you guys, BS, but it was pretty interesting to see how far things went over nothing. This story was called, "Don't You Know Who We Are?" This happened more than a decade ago. Names have been redacted or altered to maintain anonymity. I had already switched from chef work to sommelier work, having left my first big sommelier job to take over as head sommelier/executive manager of a restaurant group. The city I lived in was the capital, lots of embassies and lots of politicians. So, the high-end restaurants would often get large parties of politicians and ambassadors. Because of this sort of clientele, we had very high-end wine lists at all of our restaurants. But not all of them were super expensive food-wise, and our house wine was very affordable. Also, we had lots of good wines by the glass. This made some of our locations very popular as a lunch spot for servers who worked in the area. One cloudy day, I was sitting in a corner banquette just doing paperwork, enjoying some moussaka roll-ups. They're like eggplant parmigiana almost, but rolled up with mashed potato inside as well as the cheese, tomato, and herbs. This was a specialty for this Greek Mies restaurant. The server on duty was pretty busy. She was new and didn't know me. I knew her though. She was doing alright, serving everyone without too many problems. No one was waiting more than a few minutes to get attention. There was also a server from the restaurant across the street. She was not part of my group, but a regular. She was sitting having a glass of house wine as she was organizing her tips from her shift. She looked like a server. She was in blacks with a black short apron, similar uniform to what was worn in our restaurant. In walks a bunch of people, a group of 6. I recognized one of them as an ambassador's aide, didn't recognize the others. They were 4 guys and 2 women, one of whom had the classic Karen hairdo. They don't wait at the front where the sign says to wait to be seated. They walk right into the dining room, push 2 tables together, and grab extra chairs. They're sitting, sprawling, taking up lots of room in the middle of the dining room, talking loudly about how this place has a great wine list. One of them says he's gonna order. They have now been in the restaurant for less than 2 minutes total. The server on duty can't see them from the corner where they do their side duties. She had been in the back, serving the VIP room. At this point, the group is already starting to complain that they haven't been served yet, which is when they notice the server from the other restaurant who is just enjoying her glass of wine. The ambassador's aide, substantially louder than necessary, says, "Hey you! You can't drink on the job! Why haven't you taken our order yet?" Karen hairdo says, not at all under her breath, "I can't believe how unprofessional that girl is." Then to the girl, "We'll have you fired for this! Do you know who we are?" "This is an outrage!" "Oh, sorry, I don't work here. I work at a different restaurant. I'm sure a server will be here to take your order soon." "Don't you give us that BS, you lazy good-for-nothing." At this point, I'm already not liking where this is going, but I decide to wait a minute to see how the new server handles it. She has arrived with her customer service smile plastered across her face. "Pardon me, I'm Mandy, and I will be your server for the day. Can I take your order?" "Finally, we've been waiting here for 20 minutes. It's been maybe 3, tops. "With no service. And your colleague here didn't even get up to greet us. She's just getting drunk. You can't drink on the clock," she said, directed with malice at the innocent server girl from another restaurant. "You need to fire her right now. I demand to speak to your manager. Do you even know who I am? I work for the redacted consulate. I could have both your jobs for this." It was at this point that I finally recognized the lady. She was the receptionist for the consulate where she worked. I had seen her a year and a bit prior when she came with a large group for the office Christmas party. I could have stepped in at this point, but I was curious how the new server, Mandy, would handle this. Mandy, in an apologetic tone, "I'm so sorry, but I didn't see you arrive. Normally people wait to be seated as the sign asks, so I couldn't see you all sitting here. Please don't badger our guests though. That lady doesn't work here and is a paying customer. I believe she works at another restaurant on the street." "Don't you dare lie to me, you little," redacted racial slur. "I eat liars like you for breakfast." The rest of the 6 are egging Karen hairdo on at this point, and I can see this may be escalating beyond what the server can handle. So I text the owner's son, who lives upstairs. He's also a part owner in the group and sometimes does managing of this location. He also happens to be a bodybuilder and is huge. Less than 30 seconds later, I get a BRT text from the owner's son. Karen hairdo yelling in a shrill, indignant voice, "Where is your manager? Get him now! You can't treat us like this! We are important people!" Mandy was starting to look like she was going to cry at this point. And Not Our Server is shrinking back into the banquette as both of them were being yelled at incoherently by this group of 6 rude flunkies. At this point, the assistant floor manager has arrived due to the screeching, but the 6 insane screechers are just ignoring her. I stand, take a couple steps toward them, take a deep breath, and at the top of my lungs shout, "Quiet! Now!" I was an actor in high school and knew how to project, so my voice fills the room. Everyone stops their shouting and turns to me. At a more reasonable voice level, I say, "Okay, so here's what's going to happen. None of you need to speak to the manager. What you need to do is grab your stuff and get out. I won't have you shouting at my server or my guest. No one deserves to be talked to that way. And before you indignantly ask me if I know who you are, I do. I know exactly who you are. And I know your boss. And your boss's boss. Both of whom love eating here and would be appalled at your behavior." At this point, I notice Matthew. The owner's son has just come in through the kitchen door, dressed in his gym gear, glistening with sweat like some sort of Greek statue of Hercules. He's 6'4" and nearly 300 pounds of muscle. The look on his face just screams, "I just got here and I'm already completely done with this." I can see Karen hairdo about to protest, so I hold up my hand, and in my no-nonsense commanding voice, "No, this is not a discussion. Get up and go, now!" Karen hairdo, in an injured, indignant tone, "Well, I never!" Me, matter-of-factly, "And you never will again. You can consider yourselves banned from this establishment." Matthew, rather louder than he really needed to be, "Get out of my restaurant and don't even think about coming back! You're all going on the blacklist!" Matthew's colossal form starts moving towards them, and it seems the look on his face was enough to end any further discussion as the group grabbed their things and rushed out the restaurant. I thank Matt for coming down and interrupting his workout for the assist. The manager comps the not our server's meal and wine for her marred experience. Our server is told she did nothing wrong, that it's okay, and she's not in any danger of being fired, and in fact, she handled it about as well as she could have. She is given the rest of the day off with pay. The group each have a headshot pulled from security cams and are added to our digital blacklist. But it doesn't end there. I call the consulate and talk with the ambassador, who is appalled by the behavior of his staff, all of whom arrive back at the consulate that day to find they had been fired for attempting to use their job to bully others. He comes in personally the next week to apologize to our server, manager, and the owner's son in person, and assure us that the group no longer work at the consulate. Moral of the story: never use your position of perceived power to bully others. You may well end up losing that position. This story is beautiful. Minimal casualties, maximum effect. So I believe it's safe to say we got a plus ultra ending. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.